For someone who hasn't necessarily read the book, just I guess
Yeah.
a first sort of step towards finding perhaps your first uh, sheep out of the five, let's say.
Sure. Yeah. It's interesting. There's several different ways that you can go about sort of discovering what your core values are.
Mhm.
Core values are developed over the course of our lives. And by the time you're in your early 20s, they're pretty much well established, right? And outside of a catastrophic event in your life, they simply don't change. I think people feel like they change, but the truth is that they just haven't discovered what they actually are, and so they believe that it's something when indeed it's something else. And for most of us, we don't do the work, so we have to live 20, 30, 40 years worth of life to start to sort through and sift
Okay.
through the things that are really important to us. And
Mhm.
that's where I find most of us are these days. At least in my experience and data from the people that we work with, it's less than 1% of the people who could
Okay.
sit there and tell you specifically, here are my five non-negotiable values. Here's why I chose them. Here's examples from my past to prove that they're real. We just don't do that work because it's easier to wing it.
Mhm.
And there are many of us who feel like they're bad at winging it, but that's again, that's just not true. They're actually real. We are very adept at winging it as humans, and the fact that you're alive, it shows you just how much.
Yeah.
So, the idea for how you can get there, how do you discover? These are things that Maslow would call peak experiences. Our values are often born from these peak experiences in our lives. So when you sort of go back in your mind over the course of your life and you think about the experiences that have had the most profound impact on you, they can be both positive or negative. And sometimes our values are born from either. And so you might have a really powerful moment, positive moment that you go, gosh, that really helped shape my beliefs in this particular area. And there are other times that you go, gosh, I had this horrible experience and I never want it to happen again. I never want to be that type of person. I never want to exhibit that type of behavior. And so it also shapes the values. We've actually created and crafted a online assessment, and
Yes,
we did it
I did
as
take that.
yeah, good. So
Mhm.
we did it as a sort of dipping your toe in a very deep pool. So it's not the be all end all. It is not something that is going to be, here's the absolute truth. What it does is it gets you thinking about what you believe your non-negotiable values are. And so it presents you with 125 commonly held core values. And it says, in a knee-jerk sort of reaction, go ahead and read these words. If the word resonates with you, if you go, God, that's really important to me, go ahead and select it. What we know after 5,000 people have taken this assessment, is that the average person selects at least 30 words, 30 different values that they say are really important.
Mhm.
And that presents a significant challenge. If
Yes.
there are 30 things that are important to you, your human instinct is to try to honor them all. And
Mhm.
when you find that it is impossible to honor 30 things on a daily basis, you experience that feeling of failure that you didn't honor those things, and you invite feelings like shame and depression and anxiety and all these things to sort of come to the party. And so what we do is we say, let's take that subset of 30, 40, 50 words, however many you selected, and let's group them together by likeness into five different buckets, right? So we have got things like empathy, sympathy, caring for others, that goes in one bucket. Things like achievement, success, accountability, that goes in another bucket. And before you know it, all of the words that you said were really important to you are sort of neatly organized into five different buckets. And then you get to pick the one word from each bucket that is your non-negotiable value. What's the one word you
Mhm.
can't live without? And that sort of brings you to your initial flock of five black sheep values.